Ryan from Palm Bay, Florida, hit me and said, which teams do you think fall off in 2024? Now, I can only take this to mean which teams do I think have a worse record this upcoming year than last year. Some of this is easy because some of this is look at the teams that went undefeated. It's going to be really hard for them to go undefeated again. So like Washington, it's very obvious to anyone who's paying attention, Washington's record will dip this year. Washington lost their head coach, their OC, their DC. They lost 20 of 22 starters, including their entire offense, and that also includes that entire offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award. They enter the Big Ten. They play Michigan, at Iowa, USC, at Penn State, at Oregon, UCLA. There's nothing they can do about that. A lot of that's out of their control. I mean, they were really aggressive, by the way, in trying to keep Kalen DeBoer. I was looking at some of the details about what they offered him. They offered him north of $9 million a year. They more than offered to double his salary to keep him. That's how hard they fought before he eventually left to go to Alabama. So even if DeBoer was still there, I'll say it like I said with Michigan and Harbaugh, even if DeBoer was still there, chances are they were taking a step back record-wise. So Jed Fish is the head coach there now. Now, look, you want a guy who's inheriting a very unsure situation and is able to make the most of it, you got the guy. Jed Fish is that guy. We all know what he did at Arizona. But that's one. I think another one has to be Michigan, the team Washington played a few weeks ago in the national title game. Michigan as well. Goodbye head coach. Goodbye defensive coordinator. Quarterback's gone. A very, very integral part of their program was strength and conditioning, and the coach that just left to go to the Chargers. That's a big loss for them. They promoted from within at head coach. They promoted from within at strength and conditioning. We'll see how that plays out, but they just went undefeated, guys. So the percentage chances are overwhelming that they take somewhat of a step back. It's Sharon Moore's program now, not just his temporary team. It's his program now. So we get to find out what a Sharon Moore Michigan looks like. And it takes a little while for a head coach to have his thumbprint put on a program. You don't do that in an interim capacity. That's not a knock on him at all. Got all the respect in the world for how they handled that entire stretch. I don't know when we've ever seen that before. When have we seen a head coach suspended twice in a year in which they go undefeated and win the title? So it's really crazy enough to where once you get a little removed from it, you look back on it and you say, wow, now that you say it out loud, that is wilder than I ever realized it was. They play 4 of the top 16 odds teams in college football this upcoming year. So they got the crosshairs on their back now. They've got a very much a tougher schedule this year. You know, Texas goes to Michigan this upcoming year. Texas is joining the SEC and also playing Michigan. That ought to be fun. And you've got a new, not everything, but a bunch of newness up there. So, stands to reason Michigan may take a step back. What about Louisville? Louisville was in the ACC championship game this past year. Louisville went 10-2 in the regular season. And that was partly because Jeff Brom's a stud as a coach and partly because they had a workable schedule. Okay, so the schedule inverts this year. And they've got a much tougher draw. They play 3 of the top 4 teams in the ACC this upcoming year. They play Notre Dame and Kentucky out of conference. 4 of their final 5 weeks are on the road, and they're entirely reliant on the portal, guys. They added 26 players out of the portal. You want a trivia question that's about to stump almost any of your buddies, including the most hardcore, diehard college football junkies. Ask them who Louisville's starting quarterback is this upcoming year. That's not dead air. That's just silence. I'm letting you guess. It's Tyler Shuck. By way of Texas Tech, by way of Oregon. Did I miss any other stops? So, yeah, it's not impossible, but it's going to be tough to reappear in that ACC championship game. And now here's one I'm very nervous about. Look at my hand. I'm shaking a little bit as I even mentioned this. Could Missouri take a step back? I don't know if I want to go down this road. Missouri was 10-2. So Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri has gone 5-5, 6-7, 6-7, 11-2 with the bowl win. So playing the percentages, it stands to reason that Missouri probably falls back. They lost some elite defensive staffers and not just the coordinator. I mean, Kevin Peoples went along with him, and Peoples is a really, really underrated coach defensively. but they're last on this list in my mind for a reason. I'm not totally sold on this. I'm not totally sold on them just taking a giant step back. So there's logic, the percentages, and then there's my gut. And luckily it's January, so we really don't have to commit on this. But I'll just ask it this way. What is Missouri? Is Missouri 5-5, 6-7, 6-7, or are they 11-2? Or most likely, could they be somewhere in between? They got a good thing going on up there. And also what we don't really know is, yes, we know the staffers that just left, but Eli Drinkwitz is not just going to leave those positions vacant. He went and hired guys, so let's see how good they are as well.